One of the best things about investing in mortgage notes is the many different exit strategies. Let's talk about 6 of them, starting with discounted or full payoffs. So a full payoff is exactly what it sounds like. This is a settlement for the entire amount owed, the unpaid principal balance plus the arrears, late fees, and other charges that have accrued. A discounted payoff can mean a couple of things. You could just forgive the arrears and the late fees and settle at the underlying UPB or unpaid principal balance, but it can also mean a settlement as a percentage of the unpaid principal balance owed. Now, this type of payoff is most often reserved for borrowers that are in difficult situations. So if you're working with a homeowner who has full equity in the property and could actually afford a full payoff, then when they ask about a discounted payoff, if it comes up, you can explain to them that you reserve those discounted payoffs for the situations with the borrowers that need it most. The next exit strategy here is a modification agreement or a structured settlement. So modifications can come in many different forms: a fully amortized mod over a long term, like 15 to 30 years, or a shorter interest-only modification agreement if the borrower is unable to afford the entire amortizing payment amount. A structured settlement, on the other hand, unlike a modification, is even shorter term. A structured settlement is typically several lump sums over the course of a couple of months to pay off the loan in full. We often don't use an interest rate in a structured settlement agreement. It's essentially like a discounted or a full payoff, just broken up into several payments. Next, we definitely want to encourage you guys, if you're a Mortgage Note Mastermind member, to use all of the resources we have in the Mortgage Note Mastermind group. So this is under our tools, docs, and calculators, where you can see, once you click on borrower over the relevant counterparties in our filter view on the left side, all of the documents that are relevant for borrowers, including interest-only modification agreements, adjustable rate mortgage calculators, fixed rate amortization calculators, mod agreements that have fully amortized terms, and a bunch more. All right, so now we have our next exit strategy, and that is a cash for keys. This is essentially paying the borrower to sign over the deed. Now, this can work in some situations, but in others, no cash is necessary, and a deed in lieu of foreclosure is basically the stick as opposed to the carrot to take back the deed to a property that may be underwater. So then you can either rent that property out or sell it through the REO sales process. Next, we've got a short sale, and this means the borrower stays in the property, or if it's an invested property, maybe they don't actually live in it, but essentially you never have to take possession of the deed. You have the borrower work with a local realtor to sell that property to a third party and then collect a discounted settlement at the property closing. An important thing to consider here is called the deficiency balance. Now, when a borrower settles a loan for less than the amount is owed through the short sale, they still owe the amount that's remaining on the loan balance. Say they owe $10,000, they sell the property and pay you $5,000. That $5,000 remaining balance is a deficiency balance. And in some cases, the lender can continue to pursue that deficiency balance as an unsecured debt. The great thing when you work with a borrower cooperatively in the short sale is waiving the right to pursue a deficiency balance. So essentially, it's another stick, the enforcement that we can use as a note investor to make sure our borrowers work with us to have a realtor sell the property and move quickly to get a payoff in place so that they can not have to be held to that deficiency balance once the deal is done. Next, we've got foreclosure. Of course, this is another exit strategy. And unfortunately, for a borrower, this is the least favorable option. So in all of our dealings with borrowers, we try to avoid this process and create win-win results with our borrowers. But as a note investor, you are a lender and you can enforce your security instrument through the foreclosure process. All right, so now finally we have NPL loan sale, and I'm gonna pop off here so you can see that. And a non-performing loan sale is the 6th exit strategy here, and there is a big market for non-performing loans. Even if you don't get it cash flowing and sell it as a performing asset, you can sell a non-performing loan perhaps to a local investor, somebody who's more suited to take back the property if they need to through the foreclosure process in that local market. And I definitely want to show you the non-performing loan marketplace, which also includes some cash flowing debt as well, in the Mortgage Note Mastermind group. So at the top here, you'll see aggregated trade desk, and this is where members can transact amongst themselves or with other sellers and buyers in the space with no additional transaction fees. So that is it for the Mortgage Note exit strategies for non-performing loans. I hope you learned something. Leave a comment below with any questions, and I'll get back to you shortly.